Hi, this is Jazz Robert, and welcome to my Talking Guitar podcast with Nick Lucas. I've always had a special place in my heart for Nick, who was America's first guitar star. During his heyday, this warm, effervescent Italian-American made stacks of records featuring his agile guitar playing. Recorded for Pathe, his 1922 sides called Pickin the Guitar and Teasing the Frets were the first hot guitar solos on record. In our interview, Nick gives a rare description of what it was like to record them back in the days where musicians recorded on wax cylinders playing through a giant recording horn like you'd see on the old Victrola advertisements. Later on in the Roaring Twenties, Nick became the first person to have a guitar named after him, the beautiful Gibson Nick Lucas Special. By 1930, Nick was America's most famous guitar player, and his smiling face appeared on the cover of countless instruction books and records and guitar picks. In fact, as late as the 1960s, you could still go into a music store and find lots of Nick Lucas things for sale. When I became an editor for Guitar Player magazine, I made it my mission to seek out the original pioneers of the guitar, because to me, what they did meant as much as what Eddie Van Halen and modern day players were doing as well. And I found Nick living in Hollywood at a place called the Fontenoy on North Whitley. And from his 6th floor window, Nick could look down and see students walking to and from GIT, the Guitar Institute of Technology. And these young people were completely unaware that they were being watched by the guy who made it all possible, by the person who paved the way for everyone from Eddie Lang and Roy Smeck to Eddie Van Halen, Joe Satriani, and Steve Vai. Our interview took place on September 3rd, 1980, and a complete transcription appears in this book I wrote called Talking Guitar. Anyways, hearing Nick retrace the early evolution of the guitar on recordings is a wonderful experience, and I hope you enjoy this interview as much as I do.
Hi, this is Jazz Robert from Guitar Player magazine.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We were going to do an interview today. Are you up for it now?
Oh, sure.
Oh, great.
I just got back in town yesterday. I'm ready to go.
Oh, wonderful. I hope you don't mind going back in your career a little bit and talking about early days.
All you ought to do is ask questions, and anything you have in mind, why, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay.
How far back do you want to go?
Oh, till about 1906 with your brother Frank?
Yeah.
Learning mandolin?
Yeah, 1906 was just about the time that I started, I was in grammar school. I was just about, I was about 8, 9 years old. And I was, first of all, before I started with my brother Frank, I took, he wanted me to study music without an instrument, solfeggio, which I studied from a Sicilian maestro, they call him in those days. That's all he did, is teach music without an instrument. Taught me the fundamentals of the music, of timing and things like that. Studied that for about a year, and then he put me on the mandolin, because in those days, mandolin was the dominant instrument with the Italians and with the general public. Of course, it wasn't a commercial instrument. It was mostly for house entertainment or plain weddings and christenings, things like that.
What city was this in, Luke?
This was in Newark, New Jersey. That's where I was born. I was born in Newark, New Jersey.
Was your name originally Lucas?
No, my original name was Dominic.
Oh,
Dominic. Yeah.
Dominic Lucas?
No. I'll give you the full name, my baptismal name.
Okay.
Dominic Nicholas Anthony Lucanesi. I have to spell that for you.
Okay.
Lucan. Got that?
Yeah.
E-S-E.
Oh, my.
That's an Italian name.
So, were you
Dominic and Nicholas and Anesi.
Was Antonio a confirmation name?
No, well, yes. Yeah, well, taken after some of my relatives. I guess they always like to include. So actually, I had four names. My first name was Dominic. I understand due to the fact that I was born on a Sunday, and they call me Dominic, which is Domenica, means Dominic in Italian. So they call me Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Italian name. And so after that, after I had a little knowledge of the fundamentals of music, he put me on the mandolin. My brother Frank was a very versatile musician. He was a third musician. He played the accordion. And in those days, the accordion was it. It was a very, very popular instrument.
Yeah.
And he wanted me to play the mandolin so that I could go with him on different occasions, like playing weddings and christenings. But we did come from a very, very poor family. In those days, money was scarce, and the wages were very poor. And however, the living in those days was very, very inexpensive also. So there was no problem there.
Yeah.
My father was working. Of course, my brother would take me along with him, playing at weddings and in christenings and playing in saloons, passing the hat around, which I did. And we played in streetcars and passed the hat around. We played on street corners, anything to make a dollar so that we could help the family along.
So Frank was a couple years older?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I might say Frank was about 5 or 6 years older.
Oh, I see.
He was born in Italy. He came over here, and they migrated from Italy in the late 90s, 1890s, something like that. No, the early 90s, because I was born in 1897, and he was the first. My sister passed away about a year ago. She was 85. She was second, then I was third. I was the number 3.
Is that all the kids there were?
No, there was another sister, and then there was 3 more brothers. 2 of them are alive now. There's only 3 left in the family. My brother Lib, L-I-B, and my brother Anthony. They're both alive. My brother Lib is about 76, and my brother Tony's about 66. So they're still alive. They're musically inclined, but not professionally. So my brother took me around to play all these Italian weddings and christenings because we got the big sum of $1 an hour. And because all this work that I did with him, it gave me all the practice I needed, especially on the right hand, to get that tremolo and that technique. But I had to study the mandolin under his tuition, and he was very stern, and he really helped me. Well, he gave me all my musical education that I ever needed, and of course, through the years, then after that, we parted because he went into vaudeville with the act called the Three Vagrants, and then after I graduated school, I was on my own, and I got a job in a nightclub in Newark, New Jersey, called the Johnson's Cafe.
Was that with Sam Lanin?
No, that came later.
Okay.
That came later. This was Johnson's Cafe in Newark, which was in 1915.
Oh, I see.
In 1915.
Were you playing guitar yet?
No, I was playing believe it or not, I was playing they wanted more volume than the guitar, so I got myself a banjarine, which is a mandolin only with a banjo head on it.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I've seen photos of them.
They call it banjarine.
Uh-huh.
And in order to get volume, I played the mandolin.
Mm-hmm.
That was my basic instrument. That's when I started on.
Yeah.
But my brother, in the interim, he thought he wanted me to play a guitar so there would be more volume as a background, because the mandolin is primarily a lead instrument. And he also started me on the guitar So I became as good on the guitar as I was on the mandolin. But when I first started, I played the mandolin in this nightclub. And as I said, I bought myself a banjarine. They were available in those days. Banjarines were available. Anything that sounded like a banjo. So I played with this big orchestra consisted of 3 men, piano, violin, and the banjarine. And we played the reviews. They had reviews, nightclub reviews, like they had a soprano singer, they had a comic, and they had a line of girls, and they had a singer in there, a male singer. And that was a review. The show lasted about 2 hours. And we played it just on 3 pieces, piano, violin, and the banjarine. Then eventually they put in a drummer. They went haywire. They put in a drummer. This was in Newark. Across Newark is a short jump from New York. And we had to get Chet Nichols, the piano player. He was from Newark, but the violin player, Jack Ford, we got him from New York. And naturally, I got all the work in town because there was only very few musicians available in that Newark to qualify to play for these nightclubs.
Yeah.
Most of the, what is your name again, the first name?
Jasper is really my name.
Jasper, most of the musicians, music, you had to be a good faker. You had to read quick, you know. And most of us was faking. They say, oh, play it in C or play it in D, put it up in F and put it down in key. And if you couldn't do that, music didn't mean a damn thing. Although when I went to the musicians union, I had to take a regular musical test and to pass the examination so that I could get my union card. But they don't do that today. You know, they give you a card that I just pay initiation fee and you're in. But anyway, you had to be also a good faker. So this is where I got all my experience. I was there 2 years working with this outfit, the piano, violin, banjarine, and I doubled on the guitar when we had to play waltzes or things like that. The guitar just came in handy. And from then on, I went into another nightclub in Newark called the Iroquois with another combo, which I had great experience. I played one of the greatest jazz pianists of that era called Blanche Merrill. She played that boogie woogie piano. And she still lives in New York. With Mose Mann, a violin player, and Joe Zig, he played the drums. And all this was great, giving me all the experience and the qualification of becoming a great jazz musician, unbeknownst to me. But it was a must, you know.
Was the money good enough to survive on?
Well, I'll tell you, the salary on the first job I got in New York when I played in the nightclub was $20 a week.
That was good back then.
Yeah, and I thought that was good. Then I was in demand in Newark, and Newark was a wide open town in those days. They had nightclubs all over, and everything went. Well, nothing, gambling, prostitution, everything was wide open. So I got another job in the Iroquois that I just told you. They gave me $25, and naturally, I bettered myself 20 to 25. That was a raise. And then we formed a unit called the Kentucky Five, the original Kentucky Five. In those days, Jasper, they leaned down the South, like the Dixieland Jazz Band. They were very famous. So I got myself a group called the Kentucky Five, and I toured the interstate circuit and the Keat circuit as a background, back up to the Ziegler twins. They did an act, Mortimer act. And I had a violin, and I had tenor, lead sax, alto sax, piano, drums, and myself.
What years were these, Nick?
I would say that was in the years of 1919 and 1920. After I came back, I I got married in 1917 in the end, and I forgot to tell you that. Then my daughter was born in 1918, and naturally I couldn't stay on the road too long. I only stayed on tour with this Kentucky Five, which I originated for about a year because I had to come home. My wife, just had my only daughter, the only one I had, and I had to get myself a job around town. So I got myself a job in New York with Sam Lanin. And at that time, Sam Lanin was the kingpin of New York. He did all the recording dates. I wouldn't say all, but most of them. And I was with him because I was working with him at the Roseland Ballroom.
On what instrument?
So, I played a tenor banjo. Tenor. I got myself a tenor banjo.
So the volume could get through the orchestra.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I had the guitar alongside of me at all times. But when we played waltzes, it was very difficult to play a three-quarter beat on the banjo. So the guitar came in handy. It blended better with waltzes. I had such great musicians as Jules Levy. I don't know, that goes way back, on the trumpet, and I had Phil Napoleon on saxophone, and Mark Warnow, who later on became one of the great conductors for CBS. He's a violin player. And on the other, we had two bands on the stand. One would stop, and then immediately the other would continue. There was the days when there was 5 cents a dance or 10 cents a dance. You remember that way back?
Yeah.
You buy tickets and
sure.
You pick up a dame there and dance with them, and that's how they survived. And they had two bands. The other band was called Mal Hallett, Hallett. He was very, very popular up around Boston area. And there was a fellow playing piano there with Mal Hallett by the name of Frankie Carl. He became a great pianist. In fact, he's still alive.
Sure, I've heard of Frankie.
And see, these things here were giving me the experience that paid off later on in years. And I did all his recording dates, Sam Lanin's recording dates, and one track, sometimes I did 2 a day. And the sessions were from 9 to 1, and then from 2 to 5, and then I still did my job at night. And I had a contract with Sam getting $90 a week. And the phonograph dates, all they paid us $20. That was the scale then, $20 a session. Well, I made $40 a day, and I practically worked every day, 4 or 5 days a week, making those record dates. And with my salary there, I was making a pretty good salary.
Oh, that was a lot for
I was making a lot of money, $300 a week. That was a lot of money. So one morning we always had trouble, Jasper, with the recording dates, because in those days they had the old cylinder wax. They had a big box in the back, and they keep all these waxes in this box always heated up. And the wax was pretty thick, and we only had one horn to catch all the music into the cylinder to record. We didn't have microphones. This was the days before microphones, and we had the conventional combination, like 3 saxes and 2 trumpets and a trombone, piano, bass, and they had tuba, not bass, tuba, and the rhythm banjo, which was banjo. Guitar was unheard of, and that means the tuba and myself, had to sit way back in the studio, because the tuba, when you blow notes out of the tuba, it would, if it's too loud, a needle would jump off the cylinder, and then have to start all over again. Very sensitive. And the banjo was the same thing, because it was a penetrating instrument. So I thought of an idea one morning of bringing my guitar to the studio, and Sam said, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "Well, Sam, I'm having so damn much trouble with the banjo. Let me try the guitar. I said, well, Nick, they won't hear it. I said, well, put me closer to the horn. So he got me right under the horn. Now, this is a great big horn. Visualize a great big horn like you see advertised at the Victor phonograph company. The great big horns with the dog and things like that. Well, that's what we had. So he put me under the horn, and the instrument was there, and it was. The rhythm was more smoother. Didn't have any trouble with the needle jumping out of the grooves, you know. And so he says, "Hey, Nick, that's all right. Keep it in." So that was the beginning of me playing guitar on record days. Now that was about, I would say that was around 1921 or 22, something like that. Then I still worked with him for a while. Then I worked with Vincent Lopez for a while at the Pickin Cafe on 45th Street. That was a hot spot. But in those days, Vincent Lopez was he was very hot in New York. He couldn't do anything wrong.
Was it around this time that you recorded Teasing the Frets?
See, no, Teasing the Frets, now that was done while I was working with Sam with a different group, with a fellow called Don Parker. Oh, no, Teasing the Frets, I did that all by myself.
And Pickin the Guitar?
Pickin the Guitar, yes.
That
was on Pathe Records.
What were those sessions like?
The sessions?
Yeah, do you remember?
Sessions were, they were, as I said, they were from about 10 to 1 o'clock.
The Teasing the Frets and Pickin the Guitar sessions?
Well, that was all by myself. Just all I had is the musical director and the technicians in the studio. Nobody else.
Where were these recorded?
In New York at the Pathe phonograph company on 42nd Street.
Did you compose those tunes?
Yes.
Now we think that those are the first recorded guitar solos.
I seem to agree with you on there. Now, I haven't done any research work but I think they were the first ones.
Do you remember what kind of guitar you used for them?
Oh yes, I used the Gibson L5.
Oh, now what guitar did you start on?
The guitar I started on was called a Galliano, made in New York by the Galliano company. It was a small company.
This was
located on Mulberry Street.
And this around 1915. You got that.
Well, I wasn't associated with Gibson until 1920, which will come later in my interview. When I left New York, and I went to join Ted Fiorito, who was an old friend of mine from Newark, and he had a band in Chicago called the Oriole Terrace Orchestra, and he was at the Edgewater Beach Hotel there, and he sent for me. He asked me if I would be interested to come out there, and he offered me $150 a week. And so my wife and I, my daughter and I, this is 1923, we got in the car and we drove out there. It took us about 4 days to get there, because in those days they didn't have these route numbers.
Yeah.
It was town to town. The next town, and next town, next. We finally got to Chicago about 4 days later, because that was only day driving. I never drove at night, because you get lost.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know where the hell to go. But now, at that time, I still had my Galliano.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to Chicago, naturally, we were a big hit there at the Edgewater Beach Hotel. And we were booked there for 2 weeks. We stayed there almost 3 years. That was where I got my big break on radio. In those days, radio was the only media of entertainment.
Was that WEBH?
WEBH Chicago.
Yeah, I remember that.
Studio. And in the interim, when I was after between sets, I used to go in the studio, which was right adjacent to our bandstand, and fill in some time with my guitar and sing, and kind of croon, and that's where I started to get mail from all over the country. Now, this wasn't no network by any means. It was just they all had these crystal sets, and they would tune in. They would get me all through the night because at different hours from Chicago to New York and New York to California, and I got loads of mail. I started to become very, very popular. So the Gibson Instrument Company, which was located in Kalamazoo, they approached me. They wanted me to use their guitar.
When was this, Nick?
This was in 1924.
You already had an L5 at that time.
No. I had the Galliano.
Oh, so Teasing the Frets was with the Galliano.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah. I didn't have Gibson Company, as I said. The first time I got with them was 1924. But I had they wanted me to play the Gibson, but I said, geez, I got a great instrument now. Well, I'm very happy with it. It sounds good. However, I said, if you could make me a guitar for my specification, I'll be glad to make the change. I had no ties or contract with the Galliano by any means because I bought it for $35. It sufficed, you know. So they said, we'll do anything to make you satisfied. If you're not satisfied, fine. So because at that time, Gaspar, the guitar was practically obsolete. It was going out. They had to do something, but by the same token, it was coming in. So they made a guitar for me called the Nick Lucas model.
What was distinctive about it?
Well, the distinction was this. The neck board was a little wider because they made the neck boards, and they still make them today, a little bit too narrow because you can't get a true tone out of some of your chords because the strings are so close together. So I don't have an exceptionally big hand, but I wanted more room between the E and the B string, especially because when I played a G chord or C chord, the C, all the notes would come out distinct. It would be, I wouldn't get any interference with my flesh on the fingers. So they made a little wider finger, but I still have it. I still play it. I still use it.
The original?
Oh, sure. I still have it.
Uh-huh.
I still have it. It's a gem. It's been fixed about 40 times. I still use it. I wouldn't part with it. And as I go along, I'll tell you a little story what happened recently. So they came up with, and I said, I want a little wider body than the usual, and I want it black, and I want it so it don't shine because the spotlight would shine on a guitar, and it would make the flare all around the people in the audience. So they came up with this Nick Lucas model, which was a beauty. In fact, I still have it. Of course, later on, as I was with the Oriolux, I was becoming very popular through the radio. I wasn't getting any money for it. This was all gratis. So that was my first stepping stone to my success to becoming a signal performer. And then Brunswick Phonograph Company, which was located in Chicago, heard me, and they signed me up to record. And I made a record there called My Best Girl and Dreamer Dreams, which was my first recording. All by myself, in the old horn, no microphones. I sang in the horn, and I made this recording, and it was a terrific seller. And then I left the band to go on my own.
Was this
1925?
1925? Was it the band you were with, the Russo Fierto Orchestra?
What's that?
What band were you with at the time?
I was with Dan Russo and Ted Fiorito.
Okay.
And I left them in the latter part of 1924, December. And in the interim, I made the record, and the record was catching on all over the country. And I was in demand. They wanted me to make personal appearances all over the United States. And my first big theater engagement was at the Chicago Theater in Chicago December 1924.
As a solo act?
Which was back to 25. What?
As a solo act?
As a solo. Yeah.
That's Christmas Eve?
That's practically, you're right, Christmas Eve, yeah. And from then on, a New York agent came out from New York to here to catch me. Some friend of mine, Bert Wheeler, heard me sing, and he told this agent about me to come out to Chicago. He was appearing there with the Teasin Follies. And he said, come out and catch this guy. He's great. I know he's going to become somebody. So he did. We didn't sign a contract. We just had a handshake, and we were together for about 15, 20 years. Then from then on, I played vaudeville. Then my next first big break came when I played the Palace Theater in New York. But, that's the epitome of all.
That was the main...
That was tops.
Yeah.
So I went into the Palace in New York, and I was a big hit there. Then England was big in those days at the Café de Paris,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the Prince of Wales and the Queen of Spain was in to see my show one night, and then they had me entertain for them privately about 2 weeks later. That's when I got publicity all around the world, and from then on, I couldn't do anything wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And when I came back to America, naturally, I had all the work I wanted to, and I continued to play in vaudeville because that was the only thing around, Jasper. There's nothing around. Vaudeville was it.
That was with Orpheum?
Orpheum, Keith Orpheum, and I played all the circuit.
Is
and I was making $3,000 a week.
That's unheard of.
Oh, that's like 30,000 today, maybe more.
No, you were making that yourself?
Yeah, all by myself. All I was doing a single.
Your wife and family must have been happy.
They sure were.
Nick, at that time, was it at all radical to get into a singing career? Like, did your parents think that was a good idea to be in music?
Well, this, as I said, this all came unexpectedly because in those days, entertainers were far and few between. And it seemed to me, I used to play a lot of solos. In fact, I was up in Reno, as I told you, about 2 weeks ago, and I happened to catch Roy Clark, and he plays a lot of guitar. He plays a hell of a guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Plays a lot of guitar. And today, country and western's coming back no end. And I used to do a lot of that solo, but in those days, they didn't accept, they wanted to hear me sing. And today, they still want to hear me sing. Because my voice, thank goodness, is in excellent condition. Because I quit in 1965. I was working steady. I worked for Harris Club in Reno and Tahoe for 8 years. Had my own group. But that was too tough on my throat. So I quit in 1965. My voice today is better than ever. But the people in those days, and in fact today, even today, they want to hear me sing. The guitar is a part of my act. See, nobody can play for me, Jasper. When I sing, then I can play for myself. If I improvise, I play little runs in between, and I play a little solo, like I play Baby Face, and maybe I'll play 16 bars on the guitar. In those days, that's what it was. No, in those days, the reason why I was successful is because entertainers were, well, the entertainers in those days, I could count them on my one hand that were very famous was Eddie Cantor, Al Jolson, and Bing Crosby. And I was in that era.
Yeah.
So.
But actually, you were the first of all those guys.
Yeah, I was before Bing Crosby.
Uh-huh.
But I wasn't before Eddie Cantor, though.
You weren't?
No, he was way before me.
Uh-huh.
And also was Al Jolson, because I was practically in school when they were. But my ambition was to be as good as them. But I never try to copy anybody, Desmond.
Oh, that's obvious, Nick.
Never try to copy anybody. I try to be myself. When I record, I use my own ideas, and I felt that I was a little unique due to the fact that my guitar and my voice blended one as one. And people today still have no problem. I still work. I play choice engagements. I don't want to work steady, and I feel that way that my voice is me. My guitar comes second, but the guitar is the one that made me. Without the guitar, I wouldn't be what I am today, because the two, as I said before, is one. Lucas without a guitar, or the guitar without Lucas would be Nick Lucas.
Yep.
So the guitar is the instrument that not saying this in the spirit of conceit by any means, but I feel that all these contemporary guitar players, most of them, and I met quite a few of them, studied from my books. I had 2 books on the market.
When did these come out?
Oh, they came out in the early 20s. They came around 26 and 27. Right after I made gold, when I became popular on records. But then when I got to 29, when I played the Orphan Theater in Los Angeles, that's when I got my biggest break.
With the Gold Diggers?
With the Gold Diggers of Broadway. I was working there at the Orphan Theater. This was big time, Jasper. I was on a bill with Sophie Tucker, Jack Benny, and myself. That's pretty stiff company, isn't it?
She sure is.
But I was learning as I was going along. Watching these performers, I was very observative, and I learned how to get on and off stage, and that wasn't easy. That took me 15 years to learn how to take a bow. Today, they do it overnight.
Yeah.
So that's where I got my biggest break on the Gold Diggers of Broadway with Tiptoe Through the Tulips. And in fact, only last April of 15 of this year, the Variety Arts Club that I belong to here gave me a big testimonial on honoring 50 years of Tiptoe Through the Tulips. So I never dreamed that a song would become synonymous with my name all these years. And still, no matter where I go, it's Tiptoe Through the Tulips.
And it's such an optimistic song.
Oh yeah, I only hope you write another one like it, because you see, you never know when you're in show business a song until you sing it to the public, and they are the ones that decide. I might think it's great. Every songwriter thinks every song he writes is great, but not until the public decides on it.
Yeah, that's
Do
the
you
truth.
agree? Don't you think that's right?
I agree completely.
Because they are the ones that buy, and they are the ones that decide. It's got to be unanimous. But anyway, I feel this way, that the guitar, this is what it's all about, is the guitar. And I don't know whether I might be wrong, I might be right. If you agree, as I agree, that I think I helped all these contemporary guys way back. Gene Autry says, without Nick Lucas, I wouldn't be playing the guitar. Okay. Did I send you that brochure?
No.
Well, I'll have to send you that brochure that has some of my credits on it.
Yeah, I was wondering if a lot of guys have said that they were influenced by you in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Merle Travis was another one.
Merle Travis.
And I wondered if he...
I'll tell you another one, Barney Castle.
Oh, is that right?
He's a great musician. And even Roy Clark. Roy Clark said, a lot of these musicians, Roy Clark said they studied from my books. Now, I'm ignorant of that until they tell me. But I guess they got it from my books. Merle Travis, he's a fine guy. You could maybe quote that if you want to in your story.
I will. How did, tell me about the books now. These came out in 26?
Yeah, about 26.
There were 2 of them?
2, yeah. First, beginners, then I had a little advanced one, second one. It was a beginning, Jasper. It was a beginning for ordinary musicians like, for hearsay, these contemporary guitar players in those days, they didn't know from nothing. They wanted to become guitar players, and they picked up my books, and they happened to be very popular in those days. In fact, when I was to Australia, I played in Australia 6 months. I had a whole group of these natives waiting for me. I went there by boat. It took 3 weeks to go by boat. And they were waiting for me because they all had my books and my guitar picks.
When was this?
Well, this was in 1937. I went to Australia. I played in Australia 6 months.
Oh, my.
And they were waiting for me at the boat. This was at, right outside of Fiji Islands.
Oh,
Suva. They stopped there at the boat.
uh-huh.
And I had to give them a concert and played every damn thing I knew on the guitar because they all had guitars. Well, today, as you know, every girl and every boy wants to play the guitar. They all got guitars. There's a big guitar school around the corner here in Hollywood. I can't think of the name of it. IBTM or something like that.
Guitar, GIT.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And I see them every day walking around the neighborhood with guitars under there. And they come off from the school.
Uh-huh.
I think I started something.
You sure did.
I feel that, well, I don't commercialize on it. I don't go around telling people about it. But after I analyze the whole damn thing, I start to realize that now the guitars get more popular than ever.
Oh, no doubt about it.
Somebody told me there's about 30 million people playing the guitar. Not professionally, but they all have guitar. It's like having a piano in their power.
Yeah, I think in fact guitars are the most popular instrument in the world right now.
Yeah, and from what I told you, I mean, I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you the whole resume of my whole life from the beginning. When I played the guitar when I was 8, 9 years old. So I'm 83 now, you know.
Yeah, that's 75 years. 75 years of guitar.
I hit it August the 22nd. I don't like to publicize that too damn much because sometimes it's, what do you think? Spoils the illusion or what?
No, I don't think so.
No, you don't think so?
No.
Well, you use your own judgment on that. You say, and I'm in good shape physically. My voice is in terrific condition. And I still can play Pickin the Guitar and Teasing the Frets. That's not easy. That takes a lot of fingering.
That concludes our interview. Nick enjoyed our interview and stayed in touch with me for the rest of his life. I really treasured getting letters from him and Christmas cards and signed photographs. This wonderful musician passed away on July 28, 1982. Before signing off, I want to express my thanks to the Southern Folklife Collection, the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation, and my podcast producer, Nick Hunt. I'd also like to thank everyone who's made a donation that helps us continue producing talking guitar podcasts. I couldn't do them without you. This podcast is copyright 2022 by me, Jazz Obrecht, all rights reserved. Thanks for listening, and check out our other entries on the Talking Guitar channel.